On the count of three. Wait. No, sorry. I have to bring the thing. I have to double check if I'm good. Seriously, it happens a lot more often than you may think, and I am going to digress a lot.
No, do your thing.
Right, I am double checking if I'm good. Okay. Right. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. Good to go. Yeah. All right. So, on the count of three, 1, 2, and 3. Wow, that was actually a lot less louder than I was expecting. The one I did for Stephen Downey the other day at Outsider was actually a lot louder. 3, 1, 2, 3. Aoife Friel, what is your favorite game?
My favorite game is Mass Effect 3. So my little brother got a PlayStation 1 when I was around 10. And so I started playing some games on that, just like Pandemonium. I don't know if you remember that, but
No.
Crash Bandicoot, obviously. I also played the Spice Girls game.
No, that I do remember.
Yeah, but I think the game that had the biggest impact on me was the first Tomb Raider came out. And, I mean, it was so cool. I was too scared to play some of it, but she was awesome, and it kicked ass, and it was amazing. And then I kind of like fell out of games again for like the PS2 era, until I saw that, like, and this is like way later, I saw Tomb Raider Legends was coming out. It looked so cool, and I had this little laptop that somehow managed to play it, and I loved it. So I ended up getting a PlayStation 3, I think, either later that year or the next year. And then, of course, the Tomb Raider reboot came out, making us a lot about Tomb Raider. But I think Tomb Raider really got me into gaming. And yeah, after that, it was everything. It was like Uncharted games, Hitman, Metal Gear Solid. I started playing loads and have been ever since.
I think the through line we're getting here is that you have a big old adventure game kick between Uncharted and Tomb Raider, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's a tie, I think, between stealth games and action adventure.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely curious about that, but we'll get to that. Tomb Raider Legends as well. That was 2005, 6, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I was in uni at the time.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't even dread to imagine. No, that was 15, 16 years ago. Jesus.
I know, but I was thinking about that game again the other day. I was thinking, is there any way I can play it again? Because I remember it being amazing. It probably wasn't amazing now. I just remember at the time it was. But yeah, I have no way of playing it anymore. I have no more PlayStation 3. I have nothing else I can play it on. It's over.
The future Halicon days are over.
Yep.
I was going to say as well, would you not be able to play it on an Xbox as well? Like play it on an Xbox One or something?
Probably, but I don't have access to an Xbox. I don't want to get an Xbox. I'm not like, I don't have an Xbox versus PlayStation issue.
Yeah.
I've always played PlayStation. Actually, I know I've played friends' Xboxes and they're great, but I've always had PlayStation games, so I kind of just stuck with that.
I think another through line is developing here is that there's a lack of Nintendo here.
That's true. Yeah. I never, what was the first Nintendo console that came out?
The NES, the Nintendo
Yeah.
System.
I was never exposed to any of that when I was young, so I kind of just never, it passed me by.
Oh dear. I think because like at least with someone, if you have a preference for one, at least you could fill in some sort of gaps with an Xbox or Nintendo console or whatever, or a Sega system at the time. The fact that you never sort of touched Nintendo at the time is just like, okay.
I know it's true. But actually I did play a few years after it came out, I did play Breath of the Wild. I borrowed a friend's Switch just so I could play it. And that was well worth it. That almost made me buy a Switch. Yeah, I haven't though. I haven't yet, but that was so awesome. That game was amazing.
The fact that it made you almost buy a Switch, but didn't make you just push you over the line, just sort of, okay, I think I really need to get a Switch. Just like, I
don't know. I mean, maybe I will for the sequel, but there wasn't anything else on it that I couldn't play elsewhere. So I was like, maybe I won't get one, but yeah, I loved that game.
Oh, it's such a good game, Breath of the Wild, definitely. So talk to me about getting into sort of Tomb Raider then at the time, because like there's, besides the sort of difference between what Core was making at the time and then what Crystal Dynamics was starting off with at the time, they're very different games anyway, but like especially when you're starting to play them, like I think I played around the PlayStation 1 times, like basically talk to me about how you find those games, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was 10 when the first one came out, and I was just like, this is cool. You know, she's got 2 guns. She runs through caves. She finds health packs in really convenient places. But yeah, it was fun, and it was just, it was adventure. I think I played the second, and I did play the second one as well. I don't remember if I played the third one. I can't remember, but I think the next one I played was Angel of Darkness.
Oh,
yeah.
God. If there's a part of me that really wants to do an episode of my favorite game on that game, but actually be called my least favorite game. So if you don't like Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, hit me up on Twitter and we'll talk.
Yeah, that game, I don't think I even finished it actually. But it's weird. I had like a real love-hate relationship with that game because like some of it was really cool. Like she was walking around in the rain. She was like wearing all denim. She was in a cityscape. It was like, this is really different. This is not like Tomb Raider. But then like I remember there was a part where you played as this really annoying guy. I can't remember his name, and there was a really hard boss fight. I don't know. I remember it got really really long, and maybe it wasn't even as long as I remember it being. I gave up. I was like, I'm over it. This, I'm fine. I'll wait. It kind of turned me. I don't think it turned me off Tomb Raider for a while, but I was just like, whatever. I'm not really feeling it, and I didn't go back until Legends.
I think I know who you're on about because the name of the guy protagonist is at the tip of my mind.
Yeah.
I just cannot get it through, and I'm just like, that sort of also sums up Angel of Darkness as a whole. It's just like everything is there. Just can't get there.
Yeah.
And I actually remember like seeing Angel of Darkness for the first time on an official PlayStation magazine cover because I remember being in County Longford at the time, like sort of reading through it and just seeing it in a shop in Longford and just like, okay, this seems rather cool. And then about what, 2 or 3 months later, it came out and got something like 3 and 4s out of 10. It's just like, oh,
Oh God. Wow. Yeah, I think I wasn't really aware of any controversy surrounding it at the time. I just, I gave it a go, and I liked some of it for sure, but I didn't like it as much as I liked the other games, and I didn't feel a need to finish it. And I do usually finish games, so it was kind of like, okay. But yeah, it was only after, I think it was probably years later, that I heard like, oh yeah, everyone hates that one. But yeah.
oh, that sort of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. The new ones are cool though.
Oh, the newer ones are fantastic. Like the reboot was just basically and like you mentioned Uncharted as well, it feels like sort of turnaround in a way, because like the original Uncharted was sort of inspired by Tomb Raider, and now the Tomb Raider reboots been inspired by Uncharted. It just feels like
It's true. It's really interesting because they're both, yeah, I think they're both kind of two sides of the same adventure coin, but they both have so much merit on their own as well. Like Nathan Drake is a very different character to Lara Croft, and they're very like established in their own ways, and they're fun to play. And both do a really good job of like just taking you by the hand and pulling you through this adventure. Yeah, I really, they're both very, very enjoyable games to play. You can kind of just sit back and have fun.
oh yeah, and like especially with Tomb Raider, like, or at least the reboots anyway, like Tomb Raider 2014 was fantastic.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider was absolutely brilliant. I will happily go to bat for that game. Rise of the Tomb Raider was the one I was referring to there. It's really confusing to sort of keep up with the new
I know,
naming
yeah,
conventions. But like Rise of the Tomb Raider, that's the one I was on. But the second game, basically, in that trilogy, like that's just like chef's kiss, brilliant, absolutely wonderful. Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, is that the one where she's like, is she in Peru or somewhere?
Yeah.
Somewhere in South America. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of felt the same. I don't know if it was like, maybe there was just too much of the same, because I mean, at that point they knew what worked, right? And so, and of course, like, why not, use your formula? But I guess I didn't feel like I was playing anything new, or I don't know, it didn't grab me the same way. I remember there were some very cool parts though. I don't know if this was in the previous games, but you could swim kind of and stay below the surface and pull people into the water. I can't remember if that was in the other games, but I loved doing that. That was my favorite way to take out an area if there was water nearby, just to be like, yoink.
The perfect sort of stealth section, basically.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, as you can guess, I love games that give you the options for stealth, and I played most of Tomb Raider in stealth when I could. I also love those arrows that turned people against each other, like turned them mad. I can't remember if that was only in 3 as well, or maybe it started in 2, but yeah, that was always a fun way to clear an area.
Well, I guess we'll touch upon stealth as a whole when we get to your honorable mentions later on. But like the other thing that I sort of find fascinating about at least the more recent Tomb Raider games is just how different they feel anyway, like even amongst each other, because like 1 is sort of the foundation of what comes in the future, and then 2 is this massive, feels like this massive Uncharted 2 moment in a way, in terms of everything about that game qualitative wise is just amazing. And then Eidos Montreal takes over, and what they try and do with it is just basically more of the same, which I don't know if I was okay with, because like, well, I mean, like it's fine for what it is, but like at least with 1 and 2, there was at least a good fundamental difference or two anyway in terms of what they were trying to do anyway. But like, I think the point is that at least all 3 games sort of signify a massive return for what that series was, especially with Crystal Dynamics coming in towards the end of the 2010s anyway, with Legends, like you say, and coming off the back of Angel of Darkness. I think I'm definitely interested to see what happens now with Tomb Raider after this sort of reboot trilogy, and see where Crystal Dynamics takes it next.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's rare as well that you have a character that survives for like, what is it, 20 or 25 years of games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait to see what they end up where they ended up going with her next. Yeah, like I wanted to write creatively for a very long time, you know, ever since I was small, but it was kind of never presented as a sustainable option. Like when I was growing up, you know, you're a teacher or you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, like, you know, you have to get a real job. And I kind of didn't think that it was even like writing creatively was something that I could do, like, you know, write a novel or something. I mean, sure, but how are you going to pay the bills, etc. So I kind of put it out of my mind, and I originally went into teaching. And I am not suited to that at all. I mean, I really like the actual teaching part, but, you know, that's only one part of your job. Like, you're also a counselor and disciplinarian and a social worker. And yeah, it's just, it did not suit me. And I ended up leaving teaching to do some freelance writing. I still hadn't hit on games yet. It took me a very long time. It was actually a friend said to me that she wanted to be a game writer. And it was like this light bulb moment. I was like, hang on a minute. These games that I like and their characters and their stories, and someone's making that, of course, that's someone's job. It was like, it just never hit me that that's a job and that I could do it. Like, I thought maybe, I never even thought about it, but if I was pushed to think about it, I probably thought you had to be a programmer or something. I had no knowledge of how the industry worked at all. But yeah, once I found out more, and I found out you can be a professional video game writer and you can make up the stories and the dialogue and stuff, and that's a real job and people will pay you. Yeah, I started chasing that straight away. And so I did some indie game work as a freelancer, and I also wrote some spec scripts, and I made a really bad twine game. And amazingly, a Ubisoft recruiter called me and was like, oh, yeah, everyone likes your samples and we have a 3-month contract on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And I was like, okay. And yeah, that was it. It was weird and wonderful.
The sort of weird twisted road from basically going from primary school teacher. Well, it was primary school, wasn't it?
No, secondary school, 11
to 18.
No. Yeah, because I wanted to teach English literature.
Oh,
I know. What a fool I was.
Foolish decision. You would have put up with dickheads like me.
Because I was only 23 as well. So, and my oldest student was 20.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can imagine how well that went.
You can't see this, but I'm just basically giving it a sconce and look, just going.
Yeah. I mean, there were some great times, but I knew in my heart I can't do this for 40 years. I can't.
Fair, totally fair.
I admire the people who do. They have a different temperament.
Right. So let's touch upon your favorite game, which is Mass Effect 3. So I think it's very well clear. If any of you have listened to the show before, you will have known my love and sort of admiration for the Mass Effect trilogy, especially with Legendary Edition that has now come out since we did the Mass Effect 2 episode last season with Kelsey Hansen and Vanna Perna. So before we specifically talk of Mass Effect 3, what are your feelings on the first two games anyway?
Yeah, I was a latecomer actually to Mass Effect. I played the trilogy for the first time in 2017 on a friend's Xbox. Yeah, I'd heard about this game, but like for some reason it never appealed to me when I saw it in shops. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it looks like space adventure, war, maybe some magic is involved somehow. I was like, I don't know why I didn't think it was my thing. I just never picked it up. And then a friend made me play it, and I was missing out. Oh my god! Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, they were incredible games, but Mass Effect 1, I think, was definitely the toughest. I think the combat had a very steep learning curve. And I think maybe the game was still like trying to find its balance as an RPG. It was a different experience to Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 2 is really where the game shone for me. I mean, you get so many deep like personal connections with your crew, and you have all these romance options suddenly, and the stakes are so high. I mean, the war comes to your front door, right? Like your crew gets taken, and I loved that moment. I thought it was so very well done that, you know, you're building up this crew, and then towards the end of the game, the Normandy is empty, you know, or practically empty, and you really feel the impact of what's happened to you. And yeah, it was so effective. And of course, the space travel is a lot of fun too. I scanned every single planet. I mean, I know that was kind of monotonous, but it was fun in its own way. Yeah, it was fun in its own way. There was something like meditative about it. And of course, the suicide mission. I mean, oh my God, what a moment. Like the pressure. I have never been so nervous about fictional characters in my life. I mean, these people's lives are in my hands. I have to make the right choice for everyone. I have to get everybody out. Loved it.
I do not think you will encounter a mission quite like the suicide mission at Mass Effect 2, because it has the right level of stakes to it, especially
Yes.
especially when it has characters in it and involved that you have sort of built up this sort of level of care and trust and love for. I think that sort of tells you a lot of how well BioWare sort of made that mission. Like, because for once, like I said, there is genuine stakes to it. It doesn't feel half-assed in a way. It's earned. It's earned.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing too. It's amazing that they were able to do that, knowing the knock-on effects would have for Mass Effect 3, and knowing all the extra work they'd have to do to accommodate that, you know, based on who might have died, all the people, all the way they have to fill these plot holes. Like I don't know how they managed to get that made, because I feel like if you suggested, oh, let's do that, but half the cast might die, and it's like, well, maybe we don't do that because we've got another game to make. So it's like, yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I love that they managed to make that.
I love that you mentioned as well, Mass Effect 1, especially because that in itself had its stakes as well, like especially on Vermeer.
Oh my God, yeah. So the first time I played this game, I did not understand that this game, you know, these are serious choices you are making. And I ended up on Vermeer, and I ended up getting Rex killed. I know. And I didn't know what a big deal that was at the time. Luckily, I had, you know, the friend who made me play it was watching me play it, and she was like, restart. You got to restart. It's like, you restart right now. And I was like, are you serious? And I was like, you have to restart. You have made an awful decision that will haunt you for 3 games. You got to restart. So I did. I restarted. I made sure I had full Paragon before we got to Vermeer. Rex was fine. But yeah, I'm so glad, because could you imagine? I mean, the consequences are dire, and it's not really presented that way to you. I mean, it is presented as, okay, this is an important character, now he's dead. But it's like, well, the game lets me fail him, so it can't be that dire, right? It's like, no, it's dire.
It's a lot more dire than dire.
Yeah. Oh my God, amazing.
I love, especially that you mentioned the fact that you got Rex killed in that initial run. I was just like, it gave me sort of flashbacks to my own sort of original playthrough of Mass Effect 1, because somehow I was talking with him for too long about the cure for the genophage, to the point where Ashley just basically shoots him anyway.
Yes, that's what actually shot him for me too. And I was like, excuse me, I'm the captain. Nobody told you to shoot him. Yes, I hate her.
Oh my God, please at least say you made the choice that I didn't make at the time and say you sacrificed her.
No, this is the worst part, right? Because as much as she annoyed me, Caden annoyed me more. So,
Oh my God, Aoife.
so and you know what? When I replayed it, I replayed the Legendary Edition. And I was like, okay, this time I'm going to save Caden and just see what happens. We got there. I couldn't do it. Like, I'm sorry, Caden, you're dying. It's like, I don't care about you, Caden. I don't care about you. You're very. I heard as well. I heard he gets great, but I'm sorry, I've yet to see it. I let him die every time.
Because when I did Legendary Edition, I was like, okay, I need to redeem myself here. I need to save Rex, and I need to kill off Ashley. I need to kill her off. And thank God I did. But like, Jesus, I was just like, she needs to die. She needs to die.
Was Caden worth it?
Was Kate?
Yeah, you see.
Well. At least he's not a racist piece. At least he's not a racist piece of shit.
That is very true. Yeah, I was actually really surprised by the way they Ashley's arc went. I was like, oh my God, you're a monster. And then at least she ends up kind of like she ends up growing past her racism and recognizing that she was racist. But still, it's like, girl, come on. Yeah,
I think
pretty bad there for a bit.
So yeah, Legendary Edition was sort of my redemption arc for what I went through in the original Mass Effect, finishing that up the weekend before Mass Effect 2 came out. I also picked up on the fact that you said Mass Effect 1 was harder than probably Mass Effect 2 and 3. Was that, why do you think that was? Because like Mass Effect 1, at least the original Mass Effect 1 before Legendary Edition, like it did not age well, like gameplay wise, anyway, especially did not age well, like compared to when it first came out anyway. But like also it was a lot more RPG in a sense in terms of its sort of gameplay, whereas 2 and 3 are a bit more streamlined action gameplay. Like,
yeah.
Like why do you think that was?
Yeah, I do think it was maybe them trying to find the balance or trying to feel like what was most fun. I think they definitely were, I mean, I don't know, but I imagine they definitely were aiming for kind of a hardcore RPG with the first one. Like you do have a lot more kind of an overwhelming amount of options for like your first game in the trilogy as well. I think like even when I went back and played it, when I played the Legendary Edition, I knew what I was getting into. I was still like, oh my God, there's so many options. There's so many ways I can upgrade my gun. There's so many different guns I can bring with me. There's so so many different like power slots. And it's like, oh my God. And I also think I don't know if this is true, but maybe you just have to get used to playing it as well. But I feel like the AI is definitely tougher than it is in 2 and 3. I think the combat is more grueling because I find 2 and 3 easier to play through, and I don't think it's just a case of being more used to the gameplay style because they differ a lot as well. Yeah, but I think they probably maybe intended 1 to be kind of this hardcore RPG combat, like space war soldier combat game, and then they realized perhaps that the value in this game is the camaraderie and you know the relationships with the characters, and action adventure was a better route. But yeah,
no, definitely. We'll touch upon all the character aspects and Legendary Edition itself proper detailing, but jumping on to Mass Effect 3 then, again, like even at the very start of the game, there still felt like massive stakes brewing because like you knew what was coming, like especially from that epic ending of 2, like that sort of short tease at the end of 2. Yes. The Reapers were coming and they were going towards Earth. And then there was the Arrival DLC for Mass Effect 2 that sort of set everything up. I don't know if you played that or just sort of skipped it. Or you did. That sort of set up everything with regards to the Reapers and all that there. But like when I tell you, I don't think you will see one of the most epic endings in a game with Mass Effect 3. I think that mean a word good. Let me re-emphasize this. Like I don't think you will find one of the more epic endings in a game than you will Mass Effect 3 because it just feels like a culmination of oh shit, here we fucking go.
Absolutely. I mean, like even from like the title screen and you see the fire raining down on Earth. I mean, it's just the way they're like, okay, how are we going to top 2? All right, so we open, Earth is on fire. I mean, it's like from the very beginning, like you said, the stakes are so high, and you've just picked up the controller. It's like, yeah, and I don't know, they managed to deliver on that through the whole game. It's not like it started out too strong. No, Earth being on fire is just step 1. Is they really set up this, or not set up, but because 1 and 2 set it up, but 3 really delivered on the Reapers being a real threat. Like, and I love that, because they weren't just, the boogeyman. They weren't like something like, oh no, we need to like get rid of this as existential threat. I mean, the Reapers, you're there. They're gigantic. They're towering over you. They are obliterating cities in front of you, and you've just started the game. So it's just, it's the stakes are huge. And I think it was also a very clever way of tutorializing like the controls and stuff for the opening, because like you're following Anderson, you trust him, so that's fine. You don't kind of need to spend any time getting to know him. You know who he is, and yeah, you're learning to walk and run and jump and stuff, but you have this incredible battle going on all around you, and it really captures your attention. And I heard that maybe not a lot of people, but I heard some people really disliked, I guess, the emotional play on you seeing the little boy that you try to help and you don't get to him, and then you see his ship blow up. It's like, I liked that. I mean,
That's
I thought, it's putting a face on the destruction around you, and yeah, it's obviously an emotional, like, heart.
It's survivor's guilt in a way.
Yeah,
that's what it comes across to me anyway. It feels like an element of survivor's guilt.
Yes, and I mean, I think Shepard deals with that through the whole of Mass Effect 3. Well, through the whole trilogy maybe, but definitely through Mass Effect 3. So yeah, I really liked it. What an opening! My God.
Like it feels like just sort of that perfect combination of story, gameplay, music, especially.
Oh, the music! Oh my God, I can't even start up the title screen without crying. It's so good, so good.
Leaving Earth just.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good, and you know it's all going to end there.
Oh, like you just feel like I don't quite know how to put it in words. Like I think Mass Effect definitely does have 1 or 2 of its significant faults, but you can't really say music is one of them, because oh my God, some of it is just oh.
Oh my God, I agree. Yeah, the music is gorgeous, and it's so like, it's emotional, but it's also epic, and it's perfect. I can't imagine it with other music.
No. I mean, like, I think that's the best way to describe it. Even like what I love about the Mass Effect trilogy, especially 1 and 3, is how they brought in fonts for the credit scenes, for the credits music.
Right.
And they chose like the perfect songs across both the credit scenes. It's just like this sticks for me. This is good. This is really good, especially for Mass Effect 1. I think they made an incredible choice.
Oh God, yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Perfect song choices there. But yeah, in terms of the game's opening, like, it just feels like, especially as well, Shepard's basically under arrest when you start the game.
Yes.
Like, after the events of Mass Effect 2's Arrival DLC, and I feel like, oh, the Reapers are coming. What do we do? Oh, we have Shepard under arrest. Let's just keep her there, lock and key. And then she comes forward to the council with her case on. Oh yeah, the Reapers are coming here. Oh, this is something that I wanted to mention as well, but I completely forgot about it. But then just remembered, because the fact there is little to no Reaper showings in Mass Effect 2, that sort of makes the payoff of them arriving on Earth in Mass Effect 3 a lot more worthwhile.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, It's like the whole Jaws thing, right? Like you don't show the monster until you really want it to pay off. Absolutely. Because I mean, they were, they were out there. You knew they were out there. They were coming. You saw what one looked like in one. But yeah, you're totally right. They're not in two, are they? They don't feature.
They don't. Like I don't know if there's certainly no significant presence of them or significant showings of them. Like there might be. You might see one in passing or something. I don't know, but like,
yeah,
but I mean, not as much as Mass Effect 1. Anyway. And certainly, they don't really sort of make their presence felt until 3.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember now they were making one at the collector base, right? But they were it didn't look like the Reapers that invaded us because they made it look like a human one because apparently they take the form of the race they reap is really weird, but okay. But yeah, you're totally right. You see them suddenly on Earth, decimating cities. Yeah, it's such an impact.
Yeah, like the payoff there is just well done there. I think that certainly helps add to it. So who were your sort of party members when you were playing Mass Effect 3? Because like for me anyway, like my two main go-tos was Garrus and Liara.
Oh my god, same. Yeah, same. Every now and then I thought maybe I should give somebody else a little jaunt out of the Normandy, but no. Yeah, I mean, I think I used to bring I tried bringing Rex a few times when I replayed recently because I don't know, I always think he's gonna be better than he is. No offense, Rex. I think you're a little slow on the uptake. Like Garrus always has my back. Like, always perfect shot. And then, Liara is so powerful. And their banter is great too. So I think I brought Tali once because I love Tali. She's so cute, but then I regretted it. It was like, Tali, honey, you can't do anything. I mean, if I have some tech around, I'll call you, but otherwise. But yeah, no, Garrus and Liara for sure. They were always my go-to as well.
I would always like sometimes like flip it, but like for the most part, it would always be for me Garrus and Liara because they always had the best chemistry together.
Yes, the banter was fantastic. Yeah, I loved it. I made a really awkward situation for myself in Mass Effect 3 when I last played because I was playing Renegade and so I wanted to like try and get with everybody just to see what would happen. And I was with Liara and then I was with Garrus and then Liara found out and she was mad at me. And then I brought the both of them on with me to the next mission. And I don't think they had any lines to reference it, but whether I imagined it or not, Liara was like much more curt with Garrus. It was so much fun.
Oh my god, that's perfect. That just sort of sums up Mass Effect right there.
Yep.
just I was going to say it's big massive fantasy US sort of type thing you'd see on HBO. No, it's just basically the equivalent of a soap, basically.
Yes, exactly, and that's what makes it so endearing, I think, to so many people. I mean, yes, the stakes are high and it's gorgeous and it's it's this big adventure, but it's the characters, right? It's that human element. I mean, I know they're aliens, but it's it's the human connection and their emotions and how you interact with them. That's what really makes it so memorable.
I think, yeah, like you said, it's those sort of emotions and feelings that you get when you see these characters like Garrus, like Liara, like Rex, like Tali, etc., and ED and Joker and stuff like that. There, I think that's sort of why Mass Effect, the separate trilogy, anyway, like feels so special because like BioWare has managed to write these nuanced, delicate, well-made characters that feel important to you. I think that's sort of why the stakes are so high when you go through the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2. Like I had so for the suicide mission, so as Femshep, I love playing as Femshep, and my love interest was Yeoman Chambers. Even though she wasn't really an official love interest, but that's
BioWare, her, and that's all that matters.
That's BioWare's penance, and they will pay it one day. Anyway, So Chambers was my love interest in the original Mass Effect 2, and I was terrified going through that suicide mission in 2, trying to get Chambers back, and I thankfully did. And you see her on the Citadel in the. I don't want to call it slums, but like it's the only way you could sort of describe it, in the slums in the Citadel in Mass Effect 3, and like you just see her there, and I think you do a mission for her on the Citadel or something, and it was good to basically see her again. And then for the Legendary Edition playthrough I did, I lost Chambers. She died. The collectors killed her. I was like, no, they basically turned her into paste. Basically, I was like,
I was going to say, I'm sorry, but I did the same thing. Because when I played, I'm pretty sure I saved her the first time, but when I would play the Legendary Edition, I'd forgotten that if you don't get there early, people die, except for, what's the doctor's name? Hawkins?
Chakwas.
Chakwas. Why do you think Hawkins? Yeah, except for her. But yeah, so I did my business around the galaxy, and then I rocked up to the collector base to find my friends, and she was like, "Why did you take so long?" I was like, "But excuse me, I have a war actually." But yeah, I lost Chambers. Sorry.
and I just like my heart just basically dropped when I seen her just basically become collector paste. Basically, I was just like, amazing grace.
Yeah, it's gross. It's so well done because she's awake, isn't she? She looks at you. It's like, oh no.
Like she's just clawing away the thing like, Shepard, help me, Lord.
I did feel guilty, but it's also like, well, I felt guilty until Shakwa started admonishing me, and then I was like, hang on, you're lucky I'm here at all.
Are you sure you want to go in that pod? Because I'm happy to put you in that pod instead of Chambers.
It's like, I'm here to save your life, so you better be grateful.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is just like, again, there is so much. There is, at least with Mass Effect, you feel those sort of characters, you care for those characters a lot to the point you genuinely feel horror and disdain when you lose them anyway, regardless of whenever that's Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3, you genuinely feel like a sickening feeling in your stomach when you do lose them eventually. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, was it oh my god, which game is it where Tali can die? That's 3, isn't it? When you have to.
It is. Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't even know that was an option because I was always like, Tali, whatever you need, I'm here for you. Okay. Like I will do whatever it takes. So I think I found out I was looking at other like options online, just to see like what happens if someone dies or how they die. And yes, I saw that like Tali will kill herself if like what are people called?
Even I'm looking this up because even after playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition, my sort of my mind's just basically gone.
Yeah. Oh my god, what are they called? Hang on, I gotta look it up too.
I'm looking this up. Quarians, yes, that's it.
Quarians, yes. So yeah, if the Geth attack the Quarians, and yeah, she'll kill herself. Oh my, and God, so dramatic. Like doesn't she drop off the cliff? So yeah, I never had that happen because I always managed to convince her this is fine, everything's chill, just relax. But I totally know what you mean. Like you get such a your heart sinks when something happens to them. I think I was very, very careful the first time I played the suicide mission for obvious reasons. And then the second time I played it, I was like, well, let's just see. Like I had my save ready to like reload. Let's just try with a few people and see what happens. And I think I lost Legion in one of them. And I mean, I wasn't even like that enamored with Legion. I mean, Legion's cool, but yeah, even so, Legion died, and I was like, okay, reload. I'm not losing anybody, not even Legion. Yeah, you really feel it.
And you lose Legion anyway in Mass Effect 3, regardless of any decision you make anyway, don't you not?
I guess you do, don't you?
Yeah.
You do,
because like I remember trying to get both sides sort of stand down from one another for the Legendary Edition.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You do. Yeah. Oh.
So it just seems sort of rather moot. They basically say, well, well, not mute, because then you get both sides as part of the war against the Reapers, but like you still sort of lose Legion anyway. It's just like, I'd rather lose Legion than Tally.
Oh yeah, same. I mean, if it's coming down to that, if it's coming down to me choosing, yeah.
So it's not that I wouldn't want to lose a Legion, but if you had to make the choice, yeah, I'd still pick Tally over Legion. So anyway, poor Tally had to jump off the cliff.
She didn't have to, not in my version. I always felt like very responsible for Tally, because I mean, when you meet her in Mass Effect 1, like, she's a young girl, isn't she? I mean, she's on her pilgrimage for her people. I don't know what age she's meant to be, but like, I figure she's meant to be like 18 or whatever, you know, some kind of coming of age thing. And she chooses like to save the world with you, as you know, because she wants to make a difference. And she's so optimistic and she's so pure. It's like, I always feel like I got to protect this girl. I have a little girl on my ship for some reason, but I'm going to protect her.
So we sort of alluded to this earlier, but like Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect 2 as well, like they feel more action centric than they do an RPG. Talk to me about that a little bit and how you sort of went through with that in mind.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it did feel like Mass Effect 1 was very RPG focused and not so much focused on the character. I mean, I know you can have some romance options. Like, for example, you can romance Liara. I'm not sure who else you can romance, because I think Liara throws herself at you immediately. Like, I think they really they found the balance of that in the later games, and they kind of made you work a little bit for a romance, and they made things feel a bit more organic. Whereas, like you said, Mass Effect 1 was mostly kind of RPG and very combat focused, and the characters didn't feel as fleshed out. Like, I'm pretty sure I just said hi to Liara and she was like, "Hello, I am now your girlfriend." Like, okay, this is how this works, huh? Whereas, I remember Garrus doesn't become romanceable until 2. I tried to romance Garrus in 1. I talked to him so many times, and every time he was like, "What?" So I was like, okay, he's hard to get, but it's because you couldn't get him. But yeah, even in 2, like, you have to put in time and effort with the characters to get to know them. You have, you know, their side missions. You have, especially in 2 with like the loyalty status. I loved that. I love that so much. Because you have lots of people who have no reason to be loyal to you yet. I mean, they're with you because they have something to gain, or they're with you because they know the Reaper threat is real, but you know, they're not loyal to you, they're loyal to the mission. And then you get them loyal to you, and that's such a good feeling. but yeah, I think 2 and then 3 as a result really focused on that action adventure, and like the narrative was first and foremost, and you know, your relationship to these characters was put front and center in the way it wasn't so much with 1. And I'm not sure why. Maybe, like I said earlier, they kind of realized this is where the value is, or maybe they were planning to flesh it out later, but it just wasn't given as much priority in 1. So I don't really remember, aside from like Vermeer and things like that, I don't really remember kind of those key character moments in 1 as much as I do in 2 and 3. And maybe that's not the game's fault, maybe that's my memory. But yeah, it didn't feel the same way as 2 and 3 did.
No, I would actually definitely agree with you there, because like Mass Effect 1, like, good as it was, and like especially great as it was when playing through the Legendary Edition, like there is no sort of, besides Vermeer, there's no real sort of big moments or stakes in regards to characters, and compared to 2 or 3, like, whereas with 2 there's certainly at least 2 or 3 in that game, and like with 3 there's a lot of the stakes there, especially in the build up to going back to Earth and taking on the Reapers. Like you said, like you're right in that regard anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I guess it does make sense as well for the flow of the trilogy, because you are getting to know more people as well, so you are getting more invested in them and you're spending more time with them. But I really think the balance was so good in 2, especially because you have such a huge crew. I mean, your crew for 1 is quite small as well. And even so, you don't kind of get as many character moments with them, even though I think you have a crew of only about 6, maybe. Maybe a bit more, but you end up losing one of them anyway, Caden or Ashley. But yeah, with 2, like your crew is huge. I can't remember how many there are, but there's loads, and but you get to have these personal moments with all of them. Or well, you don't have to, of course. But if you want to, they're there. Yeah, they struck a really good balance with that in 2 and in 3. But especially in 2, because you have so many, there's so many squad members.
Like with Mass Effect, I think because between Mass Effect 1 and 2, they expand the sort of party size exponentially, because like you've got Miranda and Jacob as well, you got Jack, and on basically like it just basically goes from, like, how many was it you said for Mass Effect 1, 6, and it just basically jumps up to at least over 10 anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it almost doubles in size. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, they're all such great characters, and they all have so much, they're all very distinct personalities, and yeah, that's where the heart of that game is, for sure.
And like you said, like distinct personalities as well. It's like their own sort of distinctive aspects that they bring to gameplay as well.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I often think about how much of a different gameplay experience you can if you mix up your crew. I'm too attached to Garrus and Liara to do that. But I think on my next playthrough, I should really switch things up. It's funny because you're always like, next time I play, I'm going to do this, but you always go back to your favorites, right? But yeah, because I think you could probably have a very different experience. I'm sure you can, depending on who you take. Yeah.
Basically, it's just sort of the equivalent of sticking with, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just basically sticking with what is essentially routine. And
yes.
it's routine, basically.
It is. Yeah, it's like, here I go again, saving the galaxy.
With these same 2 people.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard work, but someone has to do it.
So I'm just dragging along the 2 people who have just basically done it alongside me, and I'm just sort of exhausting them at this point.
Yep. They love it.
So what did you play as? Did you play as FemShep?
I did, yes. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I have to remind myself, of course, FemShep doesn't, or Shepard is not necessarily FemShep, but yeah, I always play as FemShep. And that's the other thing. I would like to play as male Shepard because you also get a different experience. You get different romance options. But I can't leave my girl behind. I don't think I would enjoy Mass Effect as much if I wasn't playing as FemShep. And I love that you can import the same character model from 1 to 3. I mean, that's fantastic because I really feel like she's my girl, and like, look at her, she went through all this. Yeah, I was always FemShep.
I adore FemShep, and I said this before with the Mass Effect 2 episode last season. It's just, she is definitely one of the best well-made characters in a game I've ever played, and it makes playing as her feel a lot more worthwhile and a lot more enjoyable anyway to the experience. And already the experience is very enjoyable anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I love how I think it would have been very easy for them to make her more of a blank slate because, she is kind of meant to just, be something for the players to embody. But I love how they gave her a very distinct personality, even with the choices you have, like Paragon or Renegade. It's not like you're playing a goody-goody or a baddie, like, it's still her. She's still funny, she's still sarcastic, like she's maybe a bit more trigger happy with the Renegade option. But like, it's still like she is who she is, and everything makes sense in context. Her responses make sense in context. It doesn't sound like it's not her. It sounds like maybe she's in a good mood, maybe she's in a bad mood. But yeah, they were very true to her character. I thought that was very cool.
No, definitely. I think also what brings out FemShep to her best is basically Jennifer Hale.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, such amazing voice acting. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry to whoever you are, Sarah, but I can't remember who plays
Mark Meir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just, yeah. Every single time I play, it's Femshep Land. So
like we apologize to Mark Meir for just sort of
yes, I'm
saying,
so sorry. I'm sure
yeah,
you're amazing.
like, we know you're amazing, Mark, but like we just can't help ourselves. We
Yeah.
love Jennifer Hill, we love Jenny Hill, we love Femship.
Yeah, it's got to be Femshep. I'm sorry.
We sort of went over it there in terms of the characters, but like another aspect of Mass Effect that I think is discussed quite a bit is the writing. Like it feels like some of the world building in Mass Effect is some of the best, certainly in games that you'll see in the past 10, maybe 15 years or so. And as a writer, I want to get your 2 cents on it because, like, I feel like, especially for me, like I say, it feels like some of the best writing in games, like over the past 10, 15 years, like I said.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think it's amazing how there's so much care that goes into making each world feel like its own place. I mean, it really feels like it has its own history, it has its own people and culture and laws and everything. I mean, that alone is a great feat, but that and tying together the strings across 3 games, it's incredible. Like I was trying to imagine how how they do it because the narrative is so intricate. I mean, you've so many characters, you have so many possibilities with those characters aside from the romance options. I mean, you're trying to piece together this incredibly satisfying plot, but with key characters who could be there or might not be there. Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, I think from a world building perspective, the Krogan were probably the most interesting for me. I think like their history as a race was so interesting, how they were, uplifted, inverted commas, by the Solarians when they needed them for the Rachni Wars. And then like the Solarians realized that the Krogan were a threat, so they created the genophage. And of course, then the genophage has such interesting like real world implications because that it's horrific and it's basically a weapon of mass destruction, and it's meant to be a deterrent. And like the Solarians are playing God, but they never meant to pull the trigger on that. But of course, like I find the Solarians so interesting too because they're brilliant and they're arrogant about it because they know they're brilliant, but they're not mustache twirlers. Like they only live to 40 years as well. Like life is precious for them, and they never intended for it to be used. And then of course the Turians released it. But yeah, it's I find the Krogan are really, really interesting, and not only the Krogan, but how other characters react to them and react to the genophage, because you get this great perspective on each character and kind of each world based on what they think the genophage was. It good? Was it bad? Should it be cured? Should it not be cured? And how to handle it. So yeah, I think the Krogan were fascinating. I mean, it was kind of like the whole atomic bomb thing, right? It's like, we have this, but we'll never use it. And then of course, yeah. That stuff got dark.
Sort of Oppenheimer-esque in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it was really like I think they went to some very serious places with the Krogan storyline. And yeah, it was really, really interesting. For me, I think they're probably the most interesting race with their history.
Well, the other thing that I sort of want to pick up on is how, again, some of the world building is like there's some serious, absolutely. I think how BioWare does it across all 3 games is especially incredible. Like I think the one thing that sort of sticks out for me is just the breadth and depth of things like the Citadel, especially in 3, because it feels more. It feels like a lot more fleshed out than it would have been back in 1, and then Omega as well.
Oh, Omega! Yes, I think the Citadel. Oh my god, I love the Citadel. I love how the Citadel always feels like you're coming home in a little bit because you have seen it through 1 and through 2 and through 3, and of course it changes, but it keeps its essence and it feels like a real place. But I absolutely, without fail, get lost every time I go there. It doesn't matter how many times I go there, I will always get lost, and I'll always go up to one of those little transport hub things and try to find my way around. But in a weird way, I kind of enjoy the getting lost. Like, I know it's probably a level designer would probably be horrified and say, no, you should always know where you're going. But it felt like I was wandering around a real place. And yeah, I love the Citadel for sure. But I think you get to see some other really interesting places. Like, you know, you've heard so much about Thessia, and then you get to go there and you see that it's basically in ashes, and you know the same thing is happening on Earth. So it's not just that you're going to these cool places, but they have an impact on your understanding of the rest of the story. But yeah, for me, probably the most interesting one is, of course, the Normandy, because that also gets its upgrades over the course of the 3 games, but that always has that familiarity and feels like it's a real place, and you got your real crew working there, and yeah, you have such an emotional connection to it that, yeah, the Normandy is important.
And just to go back on the Citadel as well, like even in the Citadel itself, there are still smaller stories to sort of go through and all that there, and like even the journalist stuff, like
oh my god, yes. Oh, what's her name? Diane Allers, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, and you can bring her on your ship. She's like kind of like she's tucked away in the basement part. I'm sorry, girl, but yeah.
That isn't even the journalist I was referring to. The journalist I was referring to is the one who you can punch.
Oh, yeah, I punched her. Yeah, I think, my first playthrough, I was Paragon, and I was like, I suffered her with great politeness. But yeah, on my Renegade playthrough, I was like, punch. On my Renegade playthrough as well, I hung up on the council every single time, and it never got old.
To be fair, you should probably be doing that anyway, even as a Paragon.
Right? Yes. There was one time I called, and they're like, are you calling us just to hang up again? And I did. It was too much fun. I mean, come on. What am I supposed to do?
It's just basically the equivalent of Bart basically prank calling Mose in The Simpsons.
Yes, I mean, this is what you get for not listening to me, okay?
You literally reap what you sow.
Hey!
You won't see that, but I just basically did.
Yeah.
So this is like, yep, I did that. And I'm loving that now. Okay, so we touched upon it a little bit there with the start of the game, but like, and even towards the end of the game as well, but like, or even at the end of the game, but like, music, it's so good, so brilliant. Like, I think that is actually another big reason why Mass Effect is so beloved, and like for all criticisms, Mass Effect Andromeda deserves, I think, and we'll talk about Andromeda in a bit, but like, music is definitely one of the strongest aspects of the Mass Effect series, across the trilogy, across Andromeda. It feels like, for me, the way the music is used in these games is it's earned its place anyway. Like, you feel in those moments anyway, it feels earned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the music suited the tone so well, and I love how it's kind of like, how does it manage to be nostalgic? You know, for like, I mean, even the first one, I think even before I'd ever played it, and I started up Mass Effect 1, and you hear that, oh, it was like, oh, you know, I mean, I'm missing something. I don't know what it is. It's so very beautiful. They get the tone right every time.
It's sort of that sort of nostalgic pang.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's sort of the only way to describe it, but like the way the way BioWare uses music across all the Mass Effect games is just, yeah, you can just sort of, you can actually sit here and think back on certain moments on in the series, and you can and whenever you think back on those moments, whether that's, you know, landing on the first planet in Mass Effect 1, talking to the elusive man, getting off Earth in Mass Effect 3, etc., or even at the end of the game, you can definitely pick out the music from those moments immediately. I think that's such a strong element of why the music works so well, because it's so memorable and so good.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Just, yeah. Oh, so good. Just to go slightly rewind back, in terms of some the characters in the game, like you say, like there are a lot more character moments in Mass Effect 3 than there would be Mass Effect 1, and maybe even to an extent Mass Effect 2. Because again, stakes and all that there. But especially in 3, you get things like Tally and Legion and all that there, but also things like Morden. Oh my God, Morden.
Morden! Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, Morden's pivotal. I think even when I did my Renegade playthrough, I could not kill him. Like, I had to let him cure the genophage. I had to. I was distraught, but like, and his line, like, it had to be me. Somebody else might have gotten it wrong. Just, oh my God. Yeah, he's a great character, and I love how the game really examined his morality and his choices, but it made you love him, because he was very kind of clinical about life and death and science and sacrifices, but yeah, I don't think I could ever be able to see that go another way in another playthrough. Like, no matter what, I will not be stopping Morden, but I will be crying. Like, I couldn't stop him, and I couldn't lie to the Krogan. I mean, I've been through too much with Rex. Like, I was gonna lie to Rex? Like, no. So yeah, the Krogans had to be cured. The genophage was horrific. They had to be. And I couldn't shoot Morden, so I just have to let him go. Just let him go. It's just, it's beautiful.
You honestly look like you're about to cry now.
I mean, it's so good. Yeah, I love Morden. And it's funny too, because when I first met him, I was like, oh, who's this dude? But yeah, he's fantastic.
I think for Mass Effect 2, especially as well, because or at least in the original Mass Effect 2, before I did the Legendary run, I lost Morden in the Collector's run through.
Wait, when did you lose him?
I lost him, I think, in the Collector's, sort of in the suicide mission, basically.
No! Oh my God! So, and did you play 3? And it's the other Solarian.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other Solarian like? Because I've never.
I honestly cannot remember.
Well, that says a lot, right?
Exactly. So I only encountered the sort of it had to be me moment for the first time when playing Legendary Edition.
Oh, and did it kill you?
Not really, because I knew what was going to happen.
Okay.
But I also understand why it happens and why it feels like there's such a weight to that moment as well. Because again, it comes back to how well beloved these characters are, and just sort of when these sort of moments happen, it just sort of drops your heart a little bit. Like, especially.
It does, because I think it has to be this way. Like, he's taking responsibility for the genophage. Like,
exactly.
You know this is the right thing to do. It's just so sad. I love it.
It feels like he is finally accepting responsibility for his part, and he's literally doing it just as he's literally going to his death march, basically. Like that moment, like where he finally accepts it, literally as he is about to die.
Exactly.
It feels powerful. It feels earned.
It does. It feels very powerful. I think that's the thing that Mass Effect does so well, is all of these moments, the payoff is fantastic. I mean, you're emotionally invested in that and in him, and but you can't save him, and you also don't want to save him because he's doing the right thing. Like, playing with your emotions like that's awesome. That's top tier gaming. I love it.
Thanks for listening to My Favorite Game, a podcast by PlayDiaries.com where people from the games industry come on to talk of their favorite game. If you want to listen to future episodes of My Favorite Game, as well as press play before they go live publicly on Play Diaries and other podcast platforms, please consider becoming a $2 tier podcast early access patron to our Patreon at patreon.com/playdiaries. Next week, the second part of our season premiere, Aoife on Mass Effect 3. Until next week, bye bye.